lines of destiny, searching for first love in the shadow of forgotten letters. Isabel's house was filled with warmth and comfort on this rainy Chicago evening. She, having finished cleaning, went to the pantry on the second floor in the corner of the old but beloved house. Old boxes, covered in the dust of time, stood there, waiting for their time. It had been many years since Isabel had last looked in those old boxes. With children and work, she often didn't have time to reminisce about the past. But this evening was different. As she unsealed the old boxes, in her hands was a small, dusty box that she had no way of remembering. On the lid of the dusty box were the inscriptions of the time: 1980, S, Youth, First Love. Isabel's heart beat faster as she opened the box. Among the photos and various memories, an old, worn letter popped up. She took it gently in her hands, as if realizing that something important and long awaited was in front of her. The old paper whispered a story long forgotten. The letter was written in the hand she remembered well. The lines referred to an urgent need to leave the country, and now they made her remember again a period of her life that she had tried to forget. The moment she read those lines, the rain outside the window began to sound like background music to a movie of her own life. She felt the past awakening in her imagination, as if coming to life anew. This letter was a bridge between past and present, and she decides it is time to return to her roots and unravel the mystery of her first love. Isabel, sitting in the semi-darkness of the pantry, holds the letter in her hands like a precious artifact that has just been discovered in a forgotten time vault. Old memories come alive in her imagination, like long-lost footage from a movie she made in her youth. The lines of the letter sound in her ears like a long, forgotten melody. "I need to leave, Isabel," she reads aloud, as if reciting the words of her destiny. Memories of them laughing, rejoicing, and crying together come back to her with the force of a whirlwind. In the room, the smell of old photographs and time wafts through her nose like a whirlwind. She smells the odor of their first kiss, smells the rain chill of the evening when they were last together. Those smells have slowly faded in her memory, but now they live again in every speck of dust in the pantry. Isabel can't quiet the interfering feelings. Anger that she has had this letter hidden to her, but at the same time, gratitude to fate that she has finally discovered it. She realizes that she needs to go back to that time, to her first love, to unravel the mysteries that her past holds. A determination awakens in her heart. With this letter, she has not only discovered the key to her past, but also to the beginning of her new journey. The next morning, Isabel's room is silent. Gray clouds hang low outside the window, as if to emphasize her inner state. A letter lies on the table, as if a clue that last night was not a dream. Isabel looks out the window, watching the raindrops, and realizes that she needs to talk to her parents. Anger and frustration boil up inside her, like a storm ready to erupt at any moment. She decides it's time to find out the truth. Isabel's parents were gathering for breakfast, unaware of what was going on in their daughter's soul. Isabel slowly enters the room, a letter in her hand, like a shield protecting her from ignorance. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you keep this letter from me?" Isabel says in an angry whisper, barely holding back tears. Her parents look at her apologetically, trying to find the words. The conversation sheds light on a forgotten story. Isabel learns that her parents tried to protect her from the pain of her first loss by convincing her to forget about the man who walked out of their lives. The conversation turns into an emotional scene in which the past meets the present, and a mysterious letter becomes the key to family secrets. Isabel returns to her room, carrying with her a fire of emotion and excitement. The letter lies on the table, as if a warning sign to her that she should prepare herself for the discoveries that await her in the past. The next hour, spent gazing into the past through old photographs, old letters, and diary notes, becomes a true time travel experience for Isabel. She sees herself and her first love in different situations, and memories begin to be reconstructed like pieces of a scattered jigsaw puzzle. The pages of her diary seem to transport her back to moments of happiness and grief. She reads with mixed feelings those lines that describe their sleepless nights in love and tender kisses under the light of the stars. All these emotions, long forgotten, fill her soul again. The photos witness the moments they shared together. They smile in the photos, walking in the park, laughing at parties among friends, their eyes sparkling with happiness. But in each photo, Isabel also feels sadness, for she knows that at the end of this chapter of their lives, they have parted. Isabel sinks deeper into her memories, looking at old photographs and records. The room has an atmosphere of old times, as if she were back in her youth. All the past comes alive before her, and she feels like a young girl standing on the threshold of adulthood. In old photographs, among the smiling faces of friends and the glimmer of fun parties, Isabel discovers those who were close to her in those times. She decides to reconnect with them, hoping for help and support in her quest to find her first true lover. An evening spent in reflection brings her the realization that she will have to make a decision that will affect not only her life, but the lives of her family as well. The past draws her in more than she expected, and the inner fire of passion burns again. Isabel stands on the brink, ready to take a risk and go forward into the unknown. Determined to step into the past, Isabel begins an active search for her first true lover. She contacts friends from those years, discussing old memories and asking about their supposed whereabouts. Her first meeting with one of her old friends brings mixed emotions. Their conversation is peppered with funny moments and laughter, but also sadness for a time gone by. He helps her recall the events of her first love and points her toward the next person in the chain of memories. With each new encounter and conversation, Isabel delves deeper into her own story. Each time she dives into the dialogue, as if she is uncovering a new page of her youth, she encounters an original perspective on her feelings and decisions. At this time in her life, she begins to realize that finding her past can be a difficult and painful process. But despite the difficulties, she doesn't give up. With each new step, she hopes to get closer to the truth and perhaps find not only her first love, but also the answers that will help her understand who she has become today. Isabel continues her search, following in the footsteps of her past love. Her next encounter takes her to an old Chicago neighborhood where they used to frequent together. The streets remind her of the times when their young hearts beat in unison. In this neighborhood, she turns to the memories of her friends and acquaintances, hoping for instant recognition, or at least a hint of the next step in her search. Meeting former neighbors and friends becomes like a guiding star in a world she tries in vain to reconstruct. However, with each conversation, Isabel realizes that the traces of her first love are erased with time. Many of those who witnessed their relationship are far gone in their own lives, and their memories are fading. In this shattered process of searching, Isabel gains something more valuable, a new perspective on herself and her life. She realizes that it is important not only to find her first love, but also to understand how she has been able to grow and change over time. In her search for her first love, Isabel stumbles across an old cafe where they used to meet often. The memory of that time comes alive when she crosses the threshold of this establishment. The tables decorated with vintage tablecloths and the smell of fresh coffee mesmerize her, like a guiding star in the world of her past love. She decides to stay and immerse herself in the memories. After ordering a cup of coffee, she stares intently out the window where they sat, laughing and exchanging affectionate glances. The cafe staff reminisce about the last time they were here. Isabel meets the eyes of the waiter who worked here then. In his gaze, she finds confirmation of her memories. Like a detective solving a long-forgotten mystery, she asks him questions, hoping to find some clue. A conversation with the waiter brings her exciting new information. He recalls their last meeting here and tells her what happened to her first love after their breakup. Emotions slip into his stories that she hasn't felt in a long time. This meeting in the cafe becomes the key to an additional piece of her past that she has lost. Isabel, as she leaves the cafe, feels that she is on the verge of a greater discovery. She has a new piece of the puzzle of the past in her hands that interacts with the pieces she already has. With each step, she feels like the mystery of her first love is beginning to unravel. She decides to spend time at her childhood home, the place where she spent her early years. Here, in the old corridors and secluded corners, she searches for traces of her past. In the scrapbooks, photographs, and notes left behind by her parents, she hopes to discover important new clues. Looking through old albums, Isabel finds pictures that bring her back in touch with her past. She sees her youth, her parents, and the friends who witnessed her first love. These photographs bring new context to her memories and add additional threads to the intriguing narrative. Meanwhile, encounters with friends and neighbors of the past confirm to her parts of the stories she discovered in the cafe. Weaving all the fragments she has received together, Isabel begins to unravel the puzzle of her first love. After putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, Isabel realizes that it is time to take the next step. She decides to meet up with those who have been a part of her past to better understand where this journey will take her. The first meeting with friends and parents from that time brings joy and warmth. They share memories that complete the picture of her youth. Not only moments with her first love, but also her own changes and growth creep into their stories. With each encounter, Isabel realizes that the past can't be recreated, but can be felt in the soul again. She meets with former friends and neighbors, listening to their stories and sharing her memories. In this sharing of stories, the power of memories to bring people together, even after many years, is revealed. Through these encounters, however, Isabel realizes that the point of her quest is not just to return to the past, but to embrace the present. With each person she meets and each moment she experiences, she realizes that her first love has left marks in her forever, shaping her as a person. Encounters and conversations with the past lead to a moment of truth for Isabel. When one day a friend delivers shocking news, "He's coming to the cafe for lunch tomorrow," the friend from the past said. My heart sank. Isabel's night was exciting and sleepless. Isabel enters a familiar cafe where the aroma of freshly ground coffee mingles with the memories of her youth. The room seems to be filled with invisible excitement, as if the past comes alive in every corner. She takes a table by the window, which overlooks the alley where the two of them spent a lot of time together. The soft lighting creates coziness, and the background music sounds like a melody of bygone days. She waits for her companion, feeling mixed emotions ranging from impatience to anxiety. When her first love enters the cafe, their gazes meet, and there is an electric tension in the air. Their conversation begins with small but important questions, like a key opening new chapters of the past. They share memories, talk about how they have changed over the years, and how first love has left its imprint on each of them. Cups of hot coffee witness frank conversations with laughter, sadness, and sincerity. Gradually, the tension fades away, and instead of nostalgia for the past, understanding awakens in their dialogue. They realize that their history was an important milestone, but now they are moving forward, each on their own path. Instead of trying to reclaim what was, they begin to appreciate the moments that have remained in their hearts. This meeting at the cafe becomes a bridge between past and present, where two people once bound by love find common ground again, accepting each other with respect and gratitude for what was. After meeting at the cafe, Isabel realizes that her heart is beginning to be freed from the burden of the past. The evening light shines as she walks outside, like a symbol of a new beginning. Back home, she spends time in reflection, remembering every word and look from the meeting. The encounter helped her find the closed doors in her heart, making room for new experiences and feelings. She begins to realize that her first love left not only traces of sadness in her soul, but also an opportunity to experience the joy of new encounters and heal old wounds. In her diary, she describes these moments as if crossing out the previous pages of pain and fear. Isabel decides to take more time for herself and her children. She begins to rediscover hobbies that were once forgotten. It is a time of change as she blossoms like a spring flower, accepting her past and striving for new horizons. In this chapter, Isabel frees her heart from the shackles of the past, accepting life as it is and filling it with the light of hope for the future. Outside Chicago's window, the season is changing, and Isabel changes with it. She meets new acquaintances, enjoys the simple moments of life, and builds relationships with others based on openness and sincerity. Over time, Isabel continues her ascent to new horizons. She decides to embrace adventures and explore the world around her. The inner fire of passion for life, reignited in her heart, becomes a beacon guiding her forward. She resolves to fulfill a long-standing dream, to travel. The lonely streets of Chicago give way to new cities, and architectural masterpieces become the backdrop for her new memories. Isabel immerses herself in the diversity of cultures, meets new people, and discovers a world of possibilities. In this journey, she is not seeking the past. She is building the future. New friends and experiences become building blocks for her personal development. She begins to understand that life is a continuous forward movement, and every moment is precious. Isabel starts writing her own story, filling the pages of her journal not only with memories, but also with plans for the future. New horizons give her the opportunity to taste freedom and feel young and vibrant once again. This chapter is about new beginnings, self-discovery, and endless possibilities that unfold before Isabel in her exciting journey through the world and herself. Unexpectedly, in her journey, Isabel discovers a harmony of hearts. Encounters with people who share her passion for life and exploration become unexpected treasures. She realizes that the connection with others is something magical, giving meaning to every moment. One such encounter becomes the key to a new direction in her journey. The companion they meet along the way shares not only interests, but also values. Together, they explore cities, exchange ideas, and each new day is filled with laughter and inspiration. This chapter is about how chance encounters can lead to deep connections capable of changing life. Isabel realizes that her story is still unfolding, and each new chapter is written in collaboration with those who share her life paths. The harmony of hearts becomes a melody accompanying Isabel in her pursuit of new adventures and heights. Conclusion: the circle of life. Isabel concludes her amazing journey through time and self-discovery, realizing that life is like an infinite circle. Encounters with the past, memories, new acquaintances, and discoveries form this magical circle that shapes her unique story. In search of her first love, she not only uncovered hidden pages of her past, but also found new excerpts for her future chapter. Every meeting, every conversation, and every adventure became bricks building her path. Returning to Chicago symbolizes completeness, uniting all the fragments of her life into a single portrait. Isabel found harmony in the past and embraced the present, allowing her to soar freely into new horizons. Her heart is filled with gratitude for all the moments she experienced, and she is ready to joyfully and openly embrace the future. Thus concludes the story of Isabel, whose life reminds us that every turn, even the most challenging, has its value, and the circle of life continually rotates, bringing new opportunities and discoveries.